boxes here as well, and I will introduce some other ladies in just a moment. First, what I would like to do is start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join me with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let me just explain the way tonight's going to work. We're going to have two sets of candidates, and we're going to split it roughly in half. We'll give this first group maybe a few more minutes because the second group has a few that are not going to make it. Anyway, we have two different boxes for questions, and I have note cards over there and pens by each of them. For the first set of people that you see up here right now, their question box is by that wall. For the second group, their question box is by that wall, toward the back. And I hope that you will write out questions. And I just want to say at our last one, we seem to have some confusion about what people at this level can do. We have a lot of questions about national politics. People running for state and local government cannot do anything as far as immigration or whatever, okay? So think about what they're running for when you write your questions, please. I want to thank Concord Township. They're always wonderful about welcoming us and encouraging us to come. Even through the pandemic, they made a way for it to happen with us. So we thank Susie for helping get set up. I also want to thank my timers, Vicki Nadzek and Maureen Kelly. They will be holding up a card when there are 30 seconds left in the speaker's time, and then when the time is up, they will say stop. If the candidate needs to finish a sentence or a sentence and a half, that's okay, but I ask that they not go on for another paragraph or two. Okay. Then I will have to play sixth grade teacher and take away their money. We're going to begin this evening with Chief Szabo. He's going to talk to you about issue 2. He's going to have 3 minutes to do so. Mr. Szabo.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the upcoming fire operations levy for Concord Township. This proposal is critical to maintaining the level of protection our community expects and deserves. The proposed levy is a 3.9 5-year levy dedicated to fire operations costing $137 per $100,000 of appraised property value. This is based on the 2024 valuations before the Lake County revaluation process. It's important to note that while the county revaluation could increase your property value, your tax bill won't increase in correct proportion to that percentage. One important aspect to highlight is that the fire department revenue does not increase with population growth. While more people moving into the township leads to a higher demand for fire and emergency services, the funding for the fire department remains the same. The last increase in funding was approved in 2015. Equally important is the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Right now, Concord is covered by just one deputy on patrol 24/7. These reduced services begin in February of this year. If this levy passes, it will free up funds from our existing safety services levy, allowing us to restore 2 deputies on duty 24/7. Our fire department staffing model has not changed since 2006, but this situation on the ground has changed dramatically. The daily staffing consists of 8 to 9 firefighters across 2 stations. Meanwhile, our call volume has nearly doubled, creating greater demand on the team and resources. Simultaneous 911 calls now account for nearly 30 to 40% of our call volume, which can stretch our capacity to respond effectively, especially during these simultaneous emergencies. A major part of this request is addressing personnel and equipment costs, which are the largest expense for the fire department. Attracting and retaining top quality firefighters and law enforcement officers is essential, but it's increasingly difficult without competitive compensation. We also have growing needs for capital purchase like emergency equipment, such as ambulances, fire engines, which have already shown increased costs. This levy was not decided on lightly. A Citizens Advisory Committee made up of volunteer residents conducted a thorough review of both the fire department and the sheriff's office budgets. That I must have needed to highlight that. They unanimously recommended this 3.9 mil fire operations levy to our township trustees to maintain safety and well-being of our community. There are reports available on our website. This levy is about keeping our residents safe and ensuring we can continue to respond effectively to emergencies. I encourage everyone to review the information carefully, and we appreciate your attention to this critical decision for the future of Concord Township. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be talking about issue 10, which is a county-wide issue. So Kim Fraser, it's up to you.
Good evening. I'm Kim Fraser. I'm the Executive Director of the Lake County Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services, or ADAMS Board. And I thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this important issue that will appear on the November ballot. Issue 10 is a 0.9 mil renewal levy that funds vital mental health and addiction recovery services throughout Lake County. This is not a new tax, and there has been no increase in millage since this levy was originally passed by Lake County voters in 1976. So what is an ADAMS Board? Well, we exist by state statute. There's an ADAMS Board for every county in the state. And our job is to plan, fund, monitor, and evaluate the county's mental health and addiction recovery services. Those services are delivered through a network of 16 nonprofit providers throughout the county. So while you may not have heard of the ADAMS Board, you are probably familiar with Signature Health, Lake Geogga Recovery Centers, Extended Housing, Crossroads Health. Those are among the agencies that we invest in every year. The ADAMS Board provides the funding and support so that those agencies can provide vital services for the community. In addition to mental health and addiction recovery services for individuals and families throughout our county, this levy also funds vital in-home services for seniors who are homebound and specialized support for grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. It helps to save lives by providing suicide prevention in every single school district in the county. It funds vital crisis services both in the community and in our emergency departments. And it funds specialized training for our first responders so that they have the tools that they need when they encounter a behavioral health crisis on the job. The reality is that today 56% of our ADAMS Board budget comes from local dollars. So this is truly lifeblood funding for us. Now, as a taxpayer, why does this matter to me? What we know statistically is that every dollar we invest in proactive prevention and treatment services, we save taxpayers up to $7 on long-term consequences associated with untreated illness. So this is not just a good investment, it's the right thing to do for our community, and it's the fiscally responsible thing to do for our community. You all have an ADAMS Board that is efficient, effective, and most importantly, accountable to the Lake County taxpayers. So we ask you to partner with us to help save and improve lives by voting for issue 10. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to the race for Ohio Senator in the 18th District. We have two candidates who are both here. They drew cards before we started to see who would go first, and so our first speaker will be Katie O'Neill. 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for being here. My name is Katie O'Neill, and I'm grateful to be your state Senate Democratic candidate. I am running for office today because my senator, Jerry Serino, has voted against the values of people I know in Ohio and the voters of 2023. So he was against holding on to majority rule. He was against the Reproductive Freedom Act. He was against legalizing marijuana. He has a Senate Bill 83 that is attacking our teachers, censoring our professors, attacking collective bargaining, and tenure. I believe education is important, and we shouldn't be making it more difficult for our teachers. We need to be giving them support and funding rather than giving $1 billion to private schools. We need to be enforcing our trade schools that work with our public schools, offering auto body and culinary schools and horticulture schools, and allowing people to go to community college a year early. And we need to be extending that funding to our libraries because they also provide public education. And we need to be recognizing our historical societies, which hold our values and our history that we should be proud of. I am an environmental lawyer. I went to Vermont Law School when it was the top environmental law school in the nation, and I believe we need one environmental lawyer in the state Senate. We have many resources here in Ohio to protect, such as our state parks and public lands. Right now, they are open to fracking, and every week another park is put on the chopping block. This is a part of our wealth. This is a part of our health, and we need people that are going to say no to the gas and oil industry. I also value Lake Erie. It is a natural resource that we have brought back to life, but we've got erosion issues. We've got issues with salt, and I am the type of woman that will be working with the public, as I have been for the last 2 decades, on issues such as democracy, civil rights, the environment, agriculture, and education. Thank you so much. My name is Katie O'Neill. You can learn more at katieo'neill.us. I want to represent you as your state senator. Thank you.
Is our second speaker, 3 minutes.
Good evening. It's great to be back in Concord. This is the 3rd time I have the privilege of doing this. And I want to thank the League for hosting and all the volunteers on the League's team that made tonight possible. I thought what I'd do is spend some time here. We don't have very much time. And by the way, I said this the other night at the Mentor event, that our Adams board is one of the best, if not the best, in the state of Ohio. So really, I think we would all probably agree here that we want to support Issue 10 and the job that Kim has done and hopefully will continue to do for the people of Lake County. In the 4 years that I have been in the state Senate representing you, and 4 years actually as your county commissioner previously, I tended to focus on a number of things, and pretty consistently from commissioner to state Senate, although with some differences. Number one, our first responsibility as elected officials is public safety. We can discuss a lot of other issues, but if people don't feel safe in their communities, all the rest becomes a little bit academic. And we have to make sure that we are passing laws and spending our dollars in our almost $90 billion biennial budget to make sure that our communities are safe and have the resources to do a good job of protecting our families and our businesses. Not to correct Beth in her opening statement, but some of the national issues do affect us locally. Because, for example, the border situation has allowed, thousands of murderers, rapists, and traffickers to come into this country, along with others that are here perhaps more legitimately, but they're here and they're committing crimes that we hear about on the news every day. Who has to deal with that? The state and the local governments. So these are relevant topics for us to talk about, and I would certainly welcome any of your questions on that. In terms of another responsibility that we have in the legislature is to make sure that we are providing budget dollars for projects in our districts or in our communities here. I've been very successful in my 3.5 years now, almost 4 years, of getting money allocated to our communities, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars actually, $500,000, $500,000 to the city, to Concord Township for the water facility to make sure that it had the dollars to make the capital improvements necessary to expand that and to provide a good service to you. I think I've also focused a lot on higher education. We have provided record-breaking dollars to public school systems and to reforming our universities in providing capital and operating dollars to our universities and community colleges. I've been chairman of the Higher Education Committee for 2 years now, and I was vice chair before that for 2 years. I am very happy to continue expanding and supporting higher education in Ohio. Thank you.
Ms. O'Neill has a 2 minutes for rebuttal. 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Here's the definition of assignment. A task or piece of work assigned to someone as part of a job or course of study.
All right. So, are you ready? Safety is a very big issue, and our government is supposed to be leaders in helping us feel safe in our communities. And so we need to have leaders that are going to stop the lies and the discrimination and the hate, because that kind of rhetoric does hurt our communities. We have got so many people that feel that impact when a sitting senator says that there are murderers and rapists, from the border. They are our population that has come here are Mexican and Latin American and Puerto Rican population that is here in Lake County offer us so many wonderful services and businesses and culture and ceremony. And so I believe that as a state senator, it is our role to be providing guidance on ways that people can find help with their mental health, with their ability to educate themselves and find employment. I think that health and safety is also about childcare, right? And it's about retirement. And it's about having wages that allow us to buy that first house, right? And to take care of our aging parents, or those who have disabilities in our families. And so I'm going to be working on the issues that matter, and that is health and safety, and that is the American dream that I believe is possible here in Ohio once again.
Also has 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you. Let's talk about the American dream here. The biggest impediment to the American dream being realized is inflation. It's hurting everybody. It's hurting families. It's hurting young people's ability to buy homes, to get financing to buy homes. This inflation was caused by reckless spending over the last 3.5 years by the current administration, which is definitely affecting everybody here in the state of Ohio and in our Lake County community and Concord for sure as well. I want to point something out here. These discussions we've been having have been very professional, and I think that's great. That's the way they should be. But we also have to challenge each other. And my opponent has tried to challenge me on a couple of things here tonight. On my website, jerryserino.com, in the next day or two, I'll be posting 10 questions that you need to ask as voters, Katie O'Neill. And I want to give you a couple of samples here of the questions that I haven't seen answers for yet and would love to get them at some point. First of all, do you agree with your party's open border policies, which has in fact allowed people who don't deserve to be here? I'm the son of an immigrant. There's a certain way to get here. I'm not against immigration. I'm against bringing criminals in with no vetting. Do you believe boys who either identify as a girl or who are transitioning should be allowed in girls' locker rooms in bathrooms? Let's see what she has to say about that. Do you support the Green New Deal, which reads like an 8th grade term paper, and its inflationary assault on consumer utility prices? We are all paying higher costs, and it's going to be even higher. In my last of the sample questions, you can see all 10 on my website. Did you move to Lake County recently just to run for the Senate? I've been here for 50 years. have raised a family here. All 30 of my 38 grandchildren live in Lake County. I have a vested interest in making sure this is a great place to live and raise a family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are going to move on to the race for Ohio representative from the 57th district. And our first speaker by draw is Rick Walker. 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Rick Walker. Thank you for being here. I'm asking for your vote for House District 57, which is most of Eastern Lake County. Then it gets weird, goes into Mentor, down into Concord, and out into Kirtland Hills. I'm a business owner. I own Walker Floor Coverings out in Perry. I've been doing flooring for over 40 years. I started out as an installer, and I can actually say that I crawled on my hands and knees to get where I am today. I built a pretty successful business. My wife is my partner in this business. When I went retail, I drug her kicking and screaming, but she is an invaluable part of my business. We are able to sit down with couples and families and talk to them about what their needs are. Flooring can tend to be a luxury, but it can also be a need. So we want to be able to talk with them, discuss their needs, and what fits them best, and for their best pricing. So negotiating with our consumers is vital. I'm also a council member in Perry Village since 2011, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done, because when I came on board, I never expected to be a council member. I did the interview process because I thought I was going to get into it, and they picked me, and then I won elections after that. We have 3 council members that are women, 3 council members that are men. We have Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, and a person of color on the council, and we get things done. We talk about these issues. We don't talk about our policies as politicians. We talk about what's best for our communities, and we get things done. I'm very proud of the work that we've done there. I'm also proud of I work with the Sub-Zero Mission based out of Painesville, Ohio. It's a homeless outreach program. We collect warming items, and I'm one of the ones that goes out in the wintertime. I get on the bus and we go find the homeless people and give them what they need to stay warm overnight. I see people at their worst, and we're trying to help them. We have a housing issue in Ohio that I'd like to try and tackle, because there's not enough affordable housing for people that are in this situation. Again, my name is Rick Walker. It's time for new leadership, different leadership, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Our second speaker is Jamie Callender, 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm normally really short. I was kind of born that way. But the last one we had, I went over, which was unusual for me, so hopefully we don't do that today. My name is Jamie Callender. I'm a proud resident of about 6 blocks from here. Unfortunately, it's a 20-minute drive because of the roundabout and not being able to cross I saw a couple of trustees in the room. That wasn't personal, just an observation. Unfortunately, McDonald's and the hospital are on the other side of that, but that's okay. Coincidence, I think not. I was in office for 8 years. I was a state rep back when I was in my 20s and 30s, or 30s and 40s, no, 20s and 30s. And then went out into the private sector. I opened a law office, which is on Johnny Cake Ridge Road. I did move recently, but it's still in Concord Township on Johnny Cake. I just moved across the street. As a teenager, I worked in Concord Plaza. I will tout the percentage of jury of grandkids, not the number, but the percentage. Both of my grandchildren live right here in Concord Township. In fact, my daughter is on one of the boards of zoning, zoning board here, so I'm very proud of her for being civically involved in Concord. My father lives here in Concord, and he's actually in attendance today. And I did want to take a Senate candidate to task about a comment she made about aging parents. And I saw both your father and my father get an interesting look on their face. So you don't have to deal with him, not me after this. My priorities have always been Lake County's priorities. Education is incredibly important, and education funding in particular. We've struggled with that over the decades. When I was in the first time, the Supreme Court found our school funding system unconstitutional. I'm very proud, and it took us 30 years as a state, but I'm very proud to have sponsored the Fair School Funding Plan as the primary sponsor and the co-author, writer of the bill. Got it through the House, I got it through the Senate, even though the at the time Senate President wasn't real happy with it. We were able to negotiate getting that through 4 years ago, and this past year we were able to get it, and Jerry voted to do this, we were able to fully fund it this year. That is a huge deal for the schools in Ohio and for property taxpayers. It lessens the burden of local communities and local property tax for funding our schools, and the state is picking up a larger percentage. We did that in the same bill that had the largest income tax cut, right, Jerry, in the state of Ohio's history. And I'm very proud to have played a big role in that negotiation. I think you all know some of the other things I do. If not, stop me over here at Lucky's one evening.
The doctor has 2 minutes to rebuttal.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Politics shouldn't be hard. It really shouldn't. You know what's hard? It's trying to get a husband and wife to figure out which color flooring you're going to put down. That's difficult. I was asked earlier, and I've been asked before, how come you and Jamie are friends? We have a lot in common. Politics should be simple. It should be just getting things done according to what, your community, your township, your state, your county. It shouldn't be difficult. And I can't stress that enough. We have conversations. I do call him a friend of mine. And I don't think he's offended that I ran against him. Are you? But again,
We'll still like our
okay. But that's the thing, is you can get things done, I believe, better if you can get along better. So we need to reach across the aisle. You're going to hear that a lot through this election from everybody. But we actually do it. James, stand up. This is what politics should look like. Thank you very much.
So we illustrated at the last, how many of you were at the last of these? Just a small number? So when we got up for rebuttal, I explained that rebuttal is supposed to be about pointing out differences, but it usually devolves into this name calling thing. We see that in politics all the time. And the irony is, well, we illustrated.
We did.
Yes.
Yes.
It's ridiculous to have hair this long, shave, and put on a tie.
You're not wearing a tie. Plus, I don't trust anybody with long hair glasses.
But it devolves into people calling out their opponent for doing the same thing they're doing. And that's just not conducive to getting things done. Rick ran, I'm going to say we ran for the same office. I'm not going to say ran against, because we really weren't opposed to each other. We were advocating our individual ideas as we are this time. But when we had a bill that affected Perry, he actually drove down to Columbus to help give support to that, even though we were coming off an election where we had been running for the same office. I've used him, my daughter's used him to do Florida. I've worked with his son on several things. He was an outstanding musician, Nick Walker, because he his website and download his music.
Spotify, iTunes.
We both believe that this is about community. It's about Lake County. It's about the folks in the room, and quite frankly, that includes your family and lifeline. And that's what it should be. I intend to continue representing that primary core value in Columbus if you'll send me back. Not that he won't.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, our last pair of speakers for this half are going to be the 2 candidates for Judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Lake County. Before I have them speak, though, I want to remind you, if you want your question asked, You need to write it down and put it in the box over there for any of these people. Okay? Our first speaker for the Judge Court of Common Pleas is Ron Graham. 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Ron Graham, and I am a candidate for Lake County Common Police Court here in Lake County. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this. They've been letting us go all over the county to meet voters. I don't think there's a better thing to do than to meet our voters. Concord has a special place for me. This is where my mother was raised. She lived on Earl Road. Unfortunately, I lost her in May, so she couldn't be here tonight. This race is about Common Police Court. And what happens in Common Police Court is all felonies. So it's everything from as little as grand theft to as bad as aggravated murder. In this race, I'm the only candidate who's actually tried a felony case. And I've tried lots of felony cases. We need a judge who knows the law. We need a judge who is not going to be starting from the beginning. We need a judge who knows. We have 3 really great general division judges now that I know very well. Judge Collada, he tried his first felony case with me. Judge O'Donnell, he and I tried a lot of big cases when we were in the county together. And I know Judge Condon very well. I started in the prosecutor's office with Steve LaTourette. When I left his office, I tried and won more cases than anyone else in his office. I have tried cases continually my whole career. I have 139 jury trials, over 55 cases before the Court of Appeals, and I've argued twice before the Ohio Supreme Court. I was honored this week to get endorsements from 2 really special people, both who have known me over 30 years. Justice O'Neill from the Ohio Supreme Court, who's retired, and Dan Dunlap, the longtime sheriff in Lake County. We have known each other for over 30 years. You see his great brother Daryl's in the audience, who was a Painesville police officer for many years, and he and I worked a lot of big cases together. These 2 can tell you all about me. If you can get my literature, which is out there, but these 2 guys who've known me over 30 years will tell you I'm an excellent lawyer and I know the law. I know the law really well. I'm a guy who you come to when you have a problem and you say, hey Ron, what do I do here? And I say, this is what we do. About a year ago, I won a big case in the Court of Appeals because an 11-year-old confessed to a crime that was not proper. He was not Mirandized. I took that case to the Court of Appeals and they overturned his conviction. I'm the guy who should be the judge here. I'm the guy who has the experience. I'm the guy that will invite you all to come visit me when I win this race. Thank you.
The second candidate to speak for this office is Jeff Rubel. 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jeff Rubel. I'm one of your 4 common police judges here in Lake County. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Kirtland. I raised my kids in Kirtland, and I lived in Kirtland now for almost 19 years. Actually, over 19 years. I attended Denison University, then I attended the University of Dayton School of Law. I was in private practice throughout my entire career. For a long time, actually a short time, I'm partners with Jamie. Down at a firm called Buckwick in Cleveland for a long time. And then I've been out here for 10 years, again, doing private practice. In my private practice, I primarily did civil litigation. Handle just about every kind of area of civil litigation you can imagine, breach of contract, torts, product liability, professional liability, toxic tort, real estate disputes, landlord disputes, business disputes, commercial disputes, etc. In April 2023, I was honored by the governor of the state to be appointed to the Lake County Court of Common Pleas. I've been there approximately a year and a half, and I took the spot vacated by Judge Eugene Lucci when he was elected to the Court of Appeals. Since being on the bench, I don't know where the comment that I don't have any trial experience came, because actually I've presided over several felony criminal trials in Lake County, including cases involving kidnapping, abduction, theft, receiving stolen property, felonious assault, trespass, domestic violence, drug possession, drug trafficking, and that's as a judge, not a prosecutor. Further, I've also sentenced over 200 felons during my period on the bench. That ranges from cases for murder, sex crimes, drug crimes, property crimes, etc. I presided over 2 malpractice cases as well. I've also been always a servant of the community. I've served the community in many ways, including I was on the Kerma City Council in my years as elected president. And I've also been many community boards, including Fine Arts Association, Leadership Lake County, Willoughby, Western Lake County Chamber of Commerce, Kirtland Kiwanis, Rhode Island Camp, Animal Rescue, called Maryland's Voice, if they ever adopted a dog from there, just to name a few. Of course, I'm supported by the Concord trustees, Luigi Dondorfer McIntosh, and Auditor Galloway, and most importantly, perhaps, is our current sheriff, Franklin Bruno. So also, of course, Representatives Callender, Senator Serino as well. So I just kindly ask to remember me in November, and I kindly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Graham has 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Well, I guess we're going to get into an endorsement thing. I have endorsements from not only Republican office holders, I have endorsements from Republicans who've worked with me. I'm honored to have the 2 trustees in Leroy Township that have endorsed me, Bruce Van Pelt. If anyone's here from Leroy, you know him well. And I also have Jason Rogers' endorsement. In Madison, I have Pete Wayman's endorsement, who's been a long time Madison Township trustees. These people endorse me because they know me. They know that I know what I'm doing. And I thought it was interesting. He said, well, I've tried a case. No, you're the judge. You're not trying the case. You're not a trial lawyer. You're the referee. You have to decide whether something's right or not right. I'm that guy. I'm the guy who's tried cases, not expecting, like I say, as a judge, you're not trying the case, you're hearing the case. And you have to make the decision. So this idea somehow that that's trial, I've asked him over and over again, and he cannot answer me, what criminal case did he handle before he became the judge? 0. Thank you. The most qualified person in this race is me by far. Talk to the justice, talk to Daryl Dunlap, talk to cops, you know, they'll tell you I'm the guy. Vote for me on November 5th and I will do a great job that I will make you all proud of. Thank you.
Mr. Ruppel has 2 minutes.
Thank you. Judges come from different backgrounds. That's no secret. Some will have more civil experience, some will have more criminal experience. The governor's office actually chose me over 2 pretty much lifelong prosecutors. And the governor's office makes these types of appointments all the time. As a judge, I've never been reversed by the Court of Appeals. I did receive a higher ranking than my opponent from the Bar Association, but I will put the caveat, honestly, I was disappointed in the number of responses that came out from the Bar Association. Again, I'm the only person, and he made the point for me, in fact, that is presided over a felony trial as a judge, not a prosecutor. The job is for judge, not prosecutor. And again, I'm the only one who's sentenced over 200 felons. I appreciate Mr. Graham has been an amazing servant for the community. He's in the 80s and 90s, he did a lot of felonies for, he ended up being Congressman Latourette. I know for the last several years he's been doing a lot of good work in municipal court. Give you an idea of just how many cases are in common pleas court. I just pulled the numbers from the Supreme Court today. In 2023, there were 1,926 civil cases filed in Lake County, 801 criminal, so roughly 1,100 more civil and criminal cases. Only 21 of those criminal cases actually went to trial, by the way, and 6 of them were mine. I just want to give you a little bit of perspective. Also, by the way, the rules of evidence don't change from criminal to civil. And if you're in this room, you're more likely to be in front of me for a civil case, not a criminal case. I certainly hope. And just to give you an idea of the ranges of civil cases that I've handled, and I guess it would be one sentence if I use a comma here. So, toxic tort insurance coverage, foreclosure, breach of contract, personal injury, wrongful death, bed bail, legal bail, insurance agent errors and omissions, financial advisor errors and omissions, slip and fall, product liability, labor employment, Consumer Sales Act, construction law, Americans with Disability, election cases, administrative appeals. Again, I have about 10 or 15 more of these, but I think you get the idea. Again, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are now going to ask questions. I'm not sure how many questions are in the box. If there are 100 in there, then we're not going to get through all of them. But we're going to go between now and 7 o'clock. If the question is asked of one specific candidate for that race, both candidates will be allowed to answer. Thank you. And I will not look, I will draw a line. So please don't yell at me if your question doesn't get asked. It's happened. This is for Jerry Serino, so again, both candidates will be able to answer. And there are two parts. What is the ratio of criminals to asylum seekers in the immigration population? How many citizen criminals does Ohio have? Should we report them? Mr. Serino, you have, let's make that 2 minutes since it's a two-part question.
Leave the question up there.
I will.
So I don't know what the numbers are, but I can tell you that if you look at the crimes that have been committed, that we can all see on the news, I'm not painting every person who comes to this country, asylum seekers, with a broad brush, that they're illegals, that they're bad people. As I said before, my family immigrated from Europe. And my grandfather was here for 12 years before he was able to bring his family here from Europe. So there's a right way to do it, and there are sacrifices that have to be made. And for truly legitimate cases where asylum is necessary, we need to open our arms to people who are doing that, or who just wish to immigrate for economic reasons. Again, comparing it to citizen criminals is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because citizens that are already here, we have to deal with, and we have a criminal justice system that knows how to deal with that. And it generally works pretty well, except where we have rogue prosecutors who let people go to commit crimes a second, and third, and fourth time. So it really, the question really should be, how do we vet people who are coming across our borders to make sure that they are not proven criminals who have records and who have come to us for nefarious reasons? That's the problem. They are the ones who commit the crime, and the people who let them in are irresponsible and have blood on their hands for those families that have suffered so greatly. We want to be open in this country. We're a country of immigrants. And we need to make sure, however, that people that are coming here for the right reasons, that don't have criminal records, and they're not going to harm our community. Our communities deserve to be safe. As elected officials, that is our #1 responsibility. Thank you.
So you have 2 minutes. I'll leave the question.
Thank you. Our #1 responsibility is equal protection under the law. We are here and we are supporting democracy, and that means diversity and inclusion. I am proud to be here in Ohio because we were the first state in the United States that had no slavery in our Constitution. Here in Lake County, if anybody was escaping slavery and persecution, lies and discrimination and hate against them, they came here. They came here to be safe. And we in Ohio, we have a way of providing safety so that, yes, we do still have immigrants coming here because they know that it's safe here. They know that it's been safe here for over 200 years. And it's the responsibility of leadership to be able to further our history, our legacy of civil rights, and protecting everyone under the equal protection of law. So how many citizen criminals do we have? I don't know, but I do know that we are all trying really hard to get along and to have peace in our neighborhoods and our schools. And we need to be demanding and expecting peaceful leadership in our public representatives. And, you know, taking an oath to not discriminate is a part of public service. And I really wish that our state senator would live up to his oath of office.
directed to anybody specifically. I think I'm going to let all of the candidates answer this. What I will do is begin with, well, I don't know that the judges can do it, sorry. I'll begin with Mr. Walker, and I will move to my right. How are you involved with job growth, and how have you contributed to economic growth? So we'll give you 1 minute for that one.
Thank you for the question, whoever that was. My business is job growth. I create jobs through the flooring industry, and we do see fewer and fewer tradesmen coming up through the ranks. I'd like to change this, and I don't know the answer to that, but we do need to get younger people involved in trades instead of just gotta go to college and sit in front of a computer. I think that's where the focus should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, what he said. I have a business here in Lake County. I employ a number of people. Even the folks that I hire from out of town, we run through Lake County, so they pay taxes here, payroll taxes and whatnot. And I think we've got 11 employees now, which not bad for a small business. I've worked, I'm really proud of one of the organizations and entities I've worked to fund the last 4 years and make sure that they work with something called AWT. And what AWT is a nonprofit organization put together by employers in the area that has created a job training program specifically for the jobs they're hiring for. So these kids that go through this and young adults are able to be hired into manufacturing immediately upon graduation with a high-paying job without going to college and taking on student loans. It's an incredible program. I urge all of you to look into it. But it's the concept of finding ways to allow people to be employed without spending a lot of money or taking out a lot of college loans.
You're like Chris. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are. Thank you for keeping me up. There we go.
So I'm 43 years old, and I have got friends that own businesses, that are farmers, that are local business owners, but the way that I am supporting economic growth and workers is by being endorsed by the Ohio Federation of Teachers, the Ohio Education Association, the AFL-CIO, UAW, the Ohio Public Service Employees, the Ohio Federation of State, Municipal, and State, County, and Municipal Employees. I am here to represent the working class and the dream that the labor movement has been able to actualize here in Ohio and this nation.
Thank you. I just stay right here. So I, having been in business for many years as a medical device CEO right here in Lake County, I've actually created a lot of jobs. Brought 300 jobs right to Mentor in Lake County when I started Source One Healthcare Technologies in Mentor. Before that, I was in other parts of Senate District 18 creating jobs. I've also, since I've been in the Senate, worked very closely with Jobs Ohio and with the Department of Development to attract companies to come here, especially to Northeast Ohio.
Senator Leroy Rescue.
Give me a pause here, okay? Sorry. And to promote job growth, and that means I've been working with mayors and managers in having business roundtables with community business owners, small, medium, and large, to understand what their issues are, to develop tax policy and lower and fewer regulations. Those are strangling our businesses today, and those are the things we talk about. Job creation, it's a nice sounding couple of words, but if you don't have policies that are sound, that are going to promote it, it's not going to happen, and that's what I've been doing in the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for almost skipping your race. This question, I'm going to start with Mr. Serino and go all the way down to the end. It is, what have you done regarding public safety? And if not currently in office, how have you contributed to the safety of your community? Again, 1 minute.
So public safety, I'll go back to when I was a county commissioner. We were responsible for budgeting and overseeing the sheriff's department. both Sheriff Dunlap and Sheriff Lamberto currently. It was a very important focus for all of the commissioners, and certainly for me as well, in trying to get additional sheriff's deputies available, to give better coverage to the townships that rely on the sheriff's department. In the Senate, I have been very actively engaged with the Attorney General and with local police chiefs to make sure that we are dealing with some of the issues that have been created by our open border situation. Ohio is a big trafficking avenue, and there's a lot of trafficking going on in our state, and we are trying to make sure that we support them with budget and policy that will keep our communities safe.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So, 2 fun stories. When I was in Vermont Law School, I was elected onto the Conservation Commission, and we were able to defeat a Dollar General store from developing on a floodplain, a critical floodplain in the middle of the town. And, you know, we are all aware of what hurricanes do. Well, in the mountains, it can make a river into a destructive force. So we were able to hold on to that. And nobody had done it beforehand, and we got it done. The other thing is that I've been working on banning injection wells. And in Southeast Ohio, we had 3 injection wells that were leaking, and we were able to shut them down this year. And I'm not sure if that issue would have been on people's radar if we hadn't done such a significant job over 10 years of working to shut it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Too short of a time period to rework it. You have such a good mic yesterday. I served on the Criminal Justice Committee for a number of terms, was vice chairman at one point, and so we worked with criminal justice reform to make sure that the laws we have on the book are not nonsensical, not repetitive, and not discriminatory. I've also focused, as you heard earlier, on school funding and making sure that we have an education system so that folks can find a quality job and are qualified for those jobs without ending up in the criminal justice system. Also work on supporting and enhancing our mental health system. Many of our crimes, the people committing them are either mentally ill or have chemical dependency issues. And working with the mental health professionals, supporting issue 10, can help lower the crime rates here in Ohio, and currently working to get a jail funded in Lake County.
Actually, we're going to switch off. We can't get the volume up, so we're going to ask the candidates to come up to the podium. Sorry.
I thought it wasn't working. I thought you were just
Stop.
Thank you. Yes, I have a 2-part answer to this. As a member of council, we collaborated with North Perry Village to combine forces and share services throughout both villages. And then we also sat down with our committees and made sure that we raised the rate that we're paying our officers so that we could recruit and retain good quality officers for the safety of our villages, both of the villages. Secondly, my work with the Sub-Zero Mission, I believe, helps in a safety aspect, because we're giving these people information on what they can do, where they can go to get services, to get help, to get off the streets. And that is, of course, a safety, I believe it's a good safety issue, to get those homeless people off the streets and get them working again. Thank you.
Do you want to speak to it, or is that something that you think would apply?
I think it's pretty, I'm not just saying appropriate.
Okay. Chris, why don't I give you a chance? Mr. Simeon, you want to ask questions? Sure.
Obviously, as a common pleas judge, you have to figure out what to do with the criminal, okay? So ideally, you can rehabilitate the person and put them back in society. And that's the tough job we have to face every single day. And unfortunately, at some point, that will shift. And if that person either just refuses to get treatment, or is somebody that just does something more horrendous than just we need to be protected from that person. So that's basically what the function of a job does as a judge. So I don't know if there's anything position-wise one way or the other, but that's essentially what we're looking to do every single day.
Okay, Mr. Graham, do you want to speak?
What was the question? I don't know how he should, yeah, he got a little free time here to talk about
No, well-
what he does as a job.
Okay, what have you done regarding public safety?
What have I done? That's pretty easy. I've been in trenches with police and victims my whole career, and I'm the one who decides what happens to a case. I'm the one who charges the case. I'm not a referee, I'm the prosecutor. The cops who know me all know I know how to do my job. I've done a lot for public safety. I've spent time with officers in the field when we have a serious case to decide how we're going to handle it. So I've done lots for public safety. Thank you.
Okay, this is for Judge Rupel. Again, I will let Mr. Graham speak to it. Mr. Sereno picked this, so blame him. Recently, you stated that you as a judge will allow those in your court to be heard. However, while the opponent was speaking, you interrupted to say that's a lie. How will you ensure that to honor your duties to be impartial and respectful to others? 1 minute.
Hey, I can't say that everybody's perfect. I agree that, I should not, if I don't know if you're talking about something that the other day, I don't know. But I certainly have a right to defend myself. So, was it today? No, I was going to say, I don't remember that. At any rate, I strongly believe that everyone deserves to be heard in my courtroom. And if not, that person doesn't feel like they're part of the legal process. So I let people be heard, even sometimes when they shouldn't be heard. But I do take that role extremely seriously.
Mr. Graham, I'll ask you the end of this question. How will you ensure you honor your duties to be impartial and respectful to others? 1 minute.
Well, because that's what I'm required to do under the law. As a judge, I'm required to be respectful, I'm required to follow the law, and that's what I will do every day in my career. And everyone who knows me knows that I'm a straight-up guy, and I follow the law, and I always follow the law. It's not my job to interpret what I should be doing or what my political views are. My job is to follow the law, and I've always done that, and you will get that from me as a judge. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, thank you. This is for Jerry Sereno, so both of them will have a chance. What qualifies state legislators to determine what should be taught in our schools and how it should be taught? Shouldn't this be left to professional educators? Why or why not? Actually, I'm going to do all four of the state office. Okay? So, Mr. Sereno, you can go first.
Sure.
1 minute? 1 minute, yes.
Okay, so that generally comes, the question comes from my Senate Bill 83, which is the largest higher education reform bill the state of Ohio has ever seen. And those are the words of the chancellor, not my words. Look, the state pays hundreds of millions of dollars every year in operating funds, state share of instruction, and capital to build buildings to our universities. Okay, we have 14 public universities and now 22 community colleges. We don't tell them how to run their operations or what to teach. What we tell them is that we represent the taxpayers who are footing the bill, as well as the students and families who are paying tuitions, and we want to make sure that they are getting qualified instruction, that they're getting that instruction at good prices, and that they are accessible from a location standpoint, and that they are getting diversity of thought and diversity of opinion respected in our universities. That is not occurring today, and we need to fix that.
I trust our
teachers, I trust our librarians. They did, 4-year degrees and master's degrees and PhDs, and they know what they're doing, and they're not doing this for the money. They're doing it for the love of people. And Senate Bill 83 says that professors can't talk about anything controversial, right? We're talking about marriage, that's stated. Climate change, also stated. Foreign policy, also stated as controversial. This is a limitation on our universities. It is going to harm our enrollment. It is going to harm our ability to recruit the best teachers. We need to trust our teachers and not senators who are trying to control everyone and take away our civil rights. Thank you.
The question, I'll repeat it for everyone. What qualifies the state legislators to determine what should be taught in our schools? I think it means public schools. Or what should be taught in our state? Well, and what should be taught it should be left to the professional educators. Simple. Article 6 of the Ohio Constitution outlines education. It starts with making the Ohio General Assembly, that's us, responsible for establishing a system of common schools. It goes on to say that we're responsible for the organization. We're responsible for overseeing the former Department of Education, which very few people were happy with how it worked. And 2 years ago, as a legislature, we altered the way we were governed. Article 6, Section 3 actually addresses administration and curriculum. So it's the Ohio Constitution that qualifies us.
Yes, having said that, while the Constitution does say that, we need to rely on the professionals. We need to give our educators the resources they need to teach the children. These children, these young adults are our future. They're our future legislators, our future business leaders. We need to trust those educators to do the right job. And that's how we should approach this, is getting resources to the educators. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do one more question for this group. I'll have Mr. Callender take on this time. Oh, of course it's a lot. Oh, 2 sides. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Senator Servino. Thank you for securing funds that directly impact our community. What is next? 1 minute.
Thanks for the question. Well, we have a biennial operating budget. We just finished the capital budget this past summer. And so in the next General Assembly, which starts in January after the election, we will be working on the new operating budget. I'm currently Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee. In January, I'm slated to become the Chairman of the committee, which really helps my district a great deal because we have a lot more influence over where the dollars get spent. So what happens is the process is that we allow every community and organization to submit requests for operating funds for various projects, like the water project that we just did for Concord. And we take a look at those, we balance them, we get more information, and we decide how we're going to spend the money here. So I've had an excellent record of bringing money back to my district, particularly to Lake County where I live. And I expect that that's going to continue as we have many, many projects in economic development or community services to support. Thank you.
I'm going to let Mr. Callender speak next because he's serving, and then I will alter the question a little for the 2 opponents.
Our budget is tied greatly to the economy. So what comes next can be affected by where the economy is by the time we're voting on it next May and June. So I want to talk about the things I want to protect first, and then the things we want to add if we have the ability. First, I want to protect our seniors and our folks that are already taxed to death. So whatever we want to do, I want to make sure it's within our means. We've done a great job the last 4 years of doing that, the last 6 years in my case. I want to protect, and we didn't mention this, I didn't mention this in the public safety portion, but the local government fund. That has been under attack the last 15 general assemblies, and we have managed to save it. I think that's incredibly important because when there's an economic downturn, the local communities are hit with having to respond to that first. And so protecting those funds is critically important. We have some aging infrastructure right here in Lake County that we need to deal with. I mentioned the jail room. You guys held up 2 different signs. It's very confusing. But anyway, I can see it.
Okay, for our 2 challengers, I would say, what would be your priorities for trying to bring money into the community?
So 50 municipalities in southern Ohio are utilizing 100% renewable energy today. We can do that here. So that is an immediate, goal of mine. Talking about leadership, we need, as public servants, to be making our public buildings 100% energy efficient and utilizing renewable energy. And the fun thing I would love to see is a train to Columbus. I would love for us to get back into trains, right? Cuts down on carbon pollution, it cuts down on drinking and driving, and it enhances our connectivity with our communities and our economy. Thank you.
I'll piggyback on what Jamie said. Protecting the local government fund is vital to the communities. As a council member in a small community, and I'm also the chairman on our joint fire district, we can suffer. We are suffering right now, so we need to protect that local government fund, bring those funds in so that we can do the infrastructure that we need to keep our communities growing.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I'd like to thank these 8 speakers. This is the 3rd time they've seen me in a couple weeks. They're going to see me again in 2 weeks. Thank them all for participating. If you could leave your notepads and pens, and don't take your name tags because we're using in Kirtland. But you can take your bottle of water. And I'm going to